Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Hey, everybody. I'm just dealing with a hearing prep on a case where I came in kind of last minute, so we might have to finagle some additional options other than hearing. But what do you do, or how can you use a symptom like, don't laugh, urinary frequency, which is often included with urgency, but not necessarily. And how can that be a disabling condition? Or if it's not so much a diagnosis itself, it is a symptom or a side effect of something that you do have. So it could be interstitial cystitis, which is also, by the way, a special SSA page on that whole disorder, which is very painful. And I've had my handful of those folks. It can be kidney disease. It can be medications even. It could potentially be cardiac, but I feel like it's often very overlooked. Like in a case in point, and I'm freezing in here, so don't mind me. Um, if when I was looking up urinary frequency, they're saying that the average person goes 6 or 7 times during the day. So if the day, I think when they're talking about it, they're not talking about an 8-hour day. They're probably talking about like a 14, 15-hour day from the time you get up until the time you go around, which would then average out to be about every 2 hours. All right. So that kind of makes sense. I'd buy that. So that's every 2 hours. Not so incredible, right? But what if you have frequency that is of the magnitude of 3 or 4 times an hour? And again, they were saying with IC, that condition, sometimes people have it where it's 60 times a day. So imagine the difference and the importance for a Social Security disability claim or SSI claim with that level of frequency is that you would need excessive breaks from the work location, your work table or wherever you're working, being in the bathroom. That would be off task. I know some vocational experts, perhaps all of them, if asked, would agree that that would require an accommodation, and it would constitute an accommodation if requested under the accommodation rules of an employer who might then provide it. The ability to go to the bathroom every, say, 15 minutes all day long without being reprimanded for not being at your desk doing your work. So 4 times an hour times an 8-hour day, what do we got there? 32 times during the workday. If it's 3 times, it's 24 times. But if you figure every time you go, it's at least 5 or 10 minutes, assuming you properly wash your hands and such, then that's a lot of time off task. The general idea is that we have a break, a 15-minute break every 2 hours at a job. Now, whether that's realistic or not, I don't know. By the way, if I look weird and rosy, I have a little bit of a cold or something. My family had a bunch of stuff, and I was the last to be hit. Um, but I can't emphasize what if you can get properly persuasive evidence of that frequency, the diagnosis that causes it, and the frequency of which one would need to go to the bathroom. And it can't just be from your own mouth. It has to be in the medical record. And it has to be, I would suggest it be in there repeatedly. So, and again, you're not really in control of that entirely, right? Because if a person is going to be needing an accommodation from the regular competitive, work expectations by being able to go to the bathroom 4 times an hour for 5 minutes each, say, even if it's only 5 minutes each, that's 20, am I saying it right? 20 minutes an hour, you're not at your desk. That's a third of the day, right? So the magnitude of what that could do, I would dare say that if you can prove it persuasively, anyone with that symptom of that magnitude would be found disabled. The difficulty is getting a judge to embrace the fact that it is so and to that magnitude. And that is the challenge because, like, for instance, if someone knows it is a side effect of a particular disease, and maybe that disease renders them not able to do more than sedentary work, but maybe they are of the age where they would grit out on sedentary work, but they don't have, or not grit out on sedentary work if they're under 50, but they can prove that they have this extreme frequency issue with having to go to the bathroom. Get that documented and get it documented regularly. So don't just tell the SSA about it. Don't just put it in your function report. You need to, I would say, even if it's caused by a particular disease, still go to a urologist and treat with them regularly. And it might just be following with them. And you need to make sure that when you tell them how frequently you are going and how interruptive it is of your day when you're not even working, that you spend all that time in the bathroom. And there could be accidents, who knows? I mean, everyone's got their own story, but that is stuff that you need to repeatedly tell, not just your primary care provider at every visit. And gosh forbid if your primary care visits are only every 6 months, you know, you want to be referred if you need it to a urologist or someone else who's going to be dealing with the frequency issue. If it stems from another condition of which you already have a specialist, let's say you'll have a kidney specialist, nephrology, and it is known that this frequent urination can be a definite effect of, a certain stage of kidney disease. You need to be bringing it up with that provider and not letting them just say, it's a side effect. No, no, no. You need to document that this is a symptom that's going on, and I don't know how you do that without ticking them off. I understand it. So I'm telling you what best be done, but I don't know how exactly it would be done with your particular professional. But if you're documenting with him in writing, perhaps, that you're going every, you know, every 15 or 20 minutes religiously around the clock, except maybe when you're in bed, it might be a little bit less. You want to know that that's getting in your records, the frequency. And then if there's therapies that can be recommended, you try them. Unless you're contraindicated in some way, I would be trying them to. All of this goes to show that you are trying to fix this problem and that the problem actually exists, as opposed to you just whining about it. Okay? Getting your doctors to document it, not so easy, but if you're asking for a treatment, maybe it'll be more documented. It could be a particular medication. I don't know if there would be any kind of physical therapy for such a thing. I really don't know. But the amount that symptom would interfere with the ability to perform a competitive job at any level of skill can't be understated. It's just proving it. It's proving it because it is disabling if it's that many, uh, sorry, if it's that many times per hour interruptive of a workday. One thing you could consider doing before, make those appointments, you have to go to the appointments or else it's not medical evidence. So you got to go, 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 go. That's got to be your priority job during this whole pursuits. Or if you're planning on pursuing a case, I suggest you start this now. You can get the appointment set up or be looking for an appointment if your doctor has a portal. Let's say you have a urologist and prior to, or whoever's treating you for the IC or the kidney disease or whatever. But again, I would get a urologist on top of those guys. You can message them prior to your visit and say, this is what I want to focus on. Can we address this at my next visit? It's really invasive. I'm going to the bathroom however many times you go, and I can't get much accomplished. I mean, it interrupts people trying to take public transportation. If there's no bathroom on it, they have to stay close to home. They might be able to go to a store, but they have to know that that bathroom is available or they're going to be having an accident in their pants. So maybe you do go to the grocery store for a quick run in every week, but maybe you run in and you make sure that that bathroom is not out of order because you're going to need it during your trip if you're there for a half hour, right? So you can reach out. I do suggest often reaching out via portal or faxing them something so it comes through on their fax and it will hopefully get into your record as a result that you are saying, at my next appointment, I want to discuss this. This is really invasive and it's like controlling my every move. Because if you think about it, it would be controlling almost your every move. Every 15 minutes anyway, you got to buck up. So being able to um, get that documented, sometimes it's by you telling the doctor outside of the visit, but getting it in that portal, it should be in there. It should be, if the records are ordered, it should be part of the records. Now, I don't know that when you download your records from the portal, which are not a complete set, I have been told, so the official set should still be ordered if that's something that's in there. The messages between telephone calls are supposed to be in there. If you send up a message to the message portal, if you fax them something or telephone, all of that should be in a properly functioning doctor's office documented. And then when the mere fact that you submitted the statement means that you're not relying on a medical assistant to paraphrase you or to forget to enter it, what you just told them. You know, I see all too many people say, I was telling him all about this problem and I don't see it in my record. Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. We don't have a lot of competency up there sometimes. So you have to do what you have to do to get that, the fact that it's a complaint in there, and then you can get the ball rolling and start getting follow-up tests. They do all sorts of tests for that stuff, and then possible therapies. Whether or not it is going to fix your problem is not really my point right here. That would be a wonderful byproduct, right? But the point here, because I'm working on the SSD medical file workup for winning evidence, is to get the proof in there of how invasive this symptom is, this side effect, this consequence of your impairment. Urinary frequency, when it is quite frequent. Now, if it's once an hour, might not work. But if it's now we're broaching on 2, 3, 4, it could very well be. So, and we're just talking about number one, kids, urinary frequency. There are other issues that come up with IBS. I think I have a video on that. When you can have alternative forms of reasons to be in the bathroom. And in that case, it might not just be frequency. It may or may not be frequency. It could be duration. How long do you have to be in that bathroom? Because some of those bodily function issues take longer than the quick one too. Okay. But again, you need to get that documented as your complaint and not just once. You have to remember to make these complaints at every visit with all your doctors, with the hope then that some of them are going to actually record it properly. Certainly with a PCP, your IC or your kidney doctor or whatever else could be causing it, and then that urologist you're going to get, right? To really bang it home. Keep repeating it, the more likely it is to get into the record and more frequently so that when a judge sees it, it's not just like, well, yeah, she claimed of urinary frequency once back in 2022. Yeah, it's not going to help you. So you really have to be a diligent developer of your own evidence where you need to. You need to develop that case so they can see that this has been an ongoing problem. All right. And then, of course, like I said, following up, following medical advice on it, very important, because your actions really help paint a picture as to how invasive this really is. If you don't choose to follow up, it's clearly not very invasive, because very invasive symptoms will be followed up by someone with whom they bother. And if it doesn't bother you, then it's certainly not going to bother a judge. Understandably so. So go to town on that, guys. You have to have, and by the way, we're talking about repeated times. That goes towards a durational preference of medical records. Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the same doctor, but the durational aspect, longitudinal, they might call it, to show that something has been around and this troublesome for this long. Remember, there's that 12-month durational requirement that everyone seems to forget. So if there's only a one hit mention of the frequency and how bad it is, the presumption is it was that day. You have to show that it's been going on and on for 12 months. All right. If you expect it to be uh, given the weight of a disabling condition, because there is that 12-month duration. All right. Urinary frequency, very important. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.